about 2.5 kilometers from the Korle Lagoon, there is a place that became known around the world, not for its beauty or for its culture, but for its smoke. Agbogbloshie, a sprawling scrapyard on the edge of the city. By the late 2000s, roughly 3,000 people worked here, sorting, dismantling, stripping, and recovering copper and aluminum from the mountains of discarded electronics that arrived from Ghana and from the world beyond. In this place, fire was the tool of last resort, and the tool used most. Cable after cable, monitor after monitor, transformer after transformer was set alight. It was the fastest way to get to the copper inside. Fast and devastating.
We were combing the whole country doing inventory of pollution, and Agbogbloshie happened to be one of the centers for pollution inventory. Of course, because of the smoke from burning of e-waste and the pollution levels there. Agbogbloshie recorded 9/10 on the blacksmith pollution index, and that raised serious alarm what was happening at Agbogbloshie.
I must say the results we obtained were deeply unsettling. First of all, we were concerned by the fact that the e-waste workers, who were actually working on the Agbogbloshie site, had high levels of heavy metals. That was quite unsettling. But what shocked us was the fact that, the controls who were engaged in other activities far from the e-waste site, also had high levels of heavy metals in their blood.
Green advocacy, you made a nice study. They took blood samples of people in the Agbogbloshie area, and then they even took a control in the ministries where we are sitting comfortably in our air conditions, and they found that there was no significant difference between the levels of the toxins in the blood of those people in the ministry and then the people in the scrapyard. So what it meant was that the pollution was going through the whole of Accra all the way into the ministries where we are sitting down making those policies and implementing them. So it was a big problem.
The burning released a cocktail of toxic substances into the air, into the soil, and into the water of the Odo River that drains the area into the sea. Substances that, when exposed to over time, do not leave the body easily.
I called e-waste a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, this was a livelihood activity that was feeding people, putting food on their tables, and on the other hand, it had the potential to harm their health. These toxic substances penetrate deep into the substance of the lungs, and some even go further to cause changes in the DNA. So generally, it results in things like emphysema, asthma, and so on. And the DNA damage may progress to causing cancerous changes. Some people in the Agbogbloshie area, even though they were not smokers, appeared as if, their lungs appeared like smokers' lungs.
But back then, we regarded it as the normal way of doing business. Burning taking place at the scrapyard, and it was regarded as the normal. Because everybody, not only the scrapyard, many other people whose activities were involved in burning, everybody was burning freely, and you see smoke here and there.
I come 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. If I come, I will dismantle my scraps. If I dismantle finish, I take go for them. I take go burn. The smoke, they pay me. Sometimes my body, they pay me. Sometimes my head.
When I go burning, every day I feel sick.
Agbogbloshie was the most contaminated site in the country and one of the most polluted places on earth. In 2007, a small civil society organization was founded in Accra. Green Advocacy Ghana, or Green Ad for short, was established with a simple but serious mission: to step up environmental advocacy, to partner in research, and to speak for communities that too often had no voice in decisions affecting their air, their water, and their health.
It became obvious that we needed to do something. This was a very new area. There was not much knowledge, about. And we decided that we needed to go into e-waste. So that was the start of it. That was the start of it. The inventory and the pollution levels that we discovered there, and tracing these to the burning of e-waste. And most of these e-waste were dumped at Agbogbloshie. In fact, it became known to us that Agbogbloshie was the leading locations for e-waste dumping, perhaps in the whole of West Africa. So that started our curiosity, and we ventured into developing the proposal that led to, the initiation of e-waste management in Ghana.
The data was alarming, but data alone would not stop the burning. For that, something more was needed: a plan, partners, and an act of courage that no one had yet attempted. In July 2009, Green Advocacy Ghana published a document that would change the trajectory of environmental management in Ghana. It was called A Proposal for the Control of Importation and Management of E-Waste in Ghana.
The proposal was to address these two: importation, control, and then management of the e-waste that we generated. There was no knowledge about e-waste. Nobody knew anything about it. So we had to prepare ourselves to, go to visit these organizations. And then we made sure that we presented our case such that they buy into it. So if you take, for instance, the Ministry of Communications those days, the minister was then the current Minister of Education, Honorable Haruna Idrisu. So we met him. He was very pleasant, and we just asked a question. That time Ghana was promoting this one laptop, one child, one laptop, and all those kinds of promotion of the use of ICT equipment. So we asked him whether he had thought about the end of life management of the equipment that they were bringing into the country, that they were distributing to school children and that kind of thing. Then he sat up, said, no, they have not thought about it. He said, that is the problem, because after about 5 years, the equipment will come to the end of their useful lifespan. And you cannot just dump them because of the hazards of heavy metals and other things. So we have to find a way to manage the end-of-life equipment of these materials, this equipment. And so that was the way we got all of them. And they became interested and gave us all the encouragement to go ahead, though they did not commit any financial resources. But the encouragement was good enough. And it happened at the EPA, it happened at MEST, it happened at Ministry of Trade and Industry, and Ghana Health Service, and all of them welcomed us. And that was good enough for us, because we then had support, for what we were venturing into.
A socio-economic study by the Hohoe Institute of Germany, in partnership with Green Ad, revealed the true scale of what was happening in plain sight. The e-waste sector employed up to 33,600 Ghanaians nationwide, including refurbishers, collectors, recyclers, who were processing between 10 and 13,000 metric tons of e-waste each year. Its estimated annual value between 105 and $268 million. Yet, because it was informal, because it was invisible to official systems, not a single dollar of it appeared in Ghana's national GDP.
They have a very good role because the collection, they collect better than anybody. So even if you want to set up any e-waste system, you need them because they can collect. They are very efficient in collecting. The cost of their collection is low. So if you depend on them, you can make good profits, and that can sustain the industry. Up to now, formal collectors like Zoom Lion cannot match them. They still collect more than anybody because they go to the corners all the way, and they use very simple, push trucks and hand trolleys, and they can go down. But they can't say because of that role they should continue to cause pollution. No.
I remember even Gazda talking us into bringing the police to arrest people who were burning. But we always told them that, look, if you look at things that way, the problem will only go underground. They will go and burn elsewhere. But let us develop a more sustainable way of handling the situation, okay, so that we can solve it, we can transform it.
This was one of the most difficult ethical tensions that we had. On the one hand is the fact that these are young people, most of them uneducated, without other skills that they could make use of. On the other hand, they were exposed to harm, as our results revealed. So clearly, one cannot tell such a group of people to stop work. What are they supposed to go home and eat? So it's a matter of making them aware of what they are exposed to whilst they continue doing the work, and then help to put in place interventions to reduce their exposure. And so that was the emphasis or the focus, of the interventions that we proposed, to reduce harm as much as possible whilst they continued working.
Knowledge without action is only documentation. Green Ad had the proposal. They had the evidence. Now came the harder work.
We're more concerned about creating the awareness, especially among the scrap dealers. And we did a lot of awareness creation, a lot of training, a lot of sensitization on how to protect themselves. Okay.
In August 2011, a delegation traveled to Sweden. Representatives of Ghana's Environmental Protection Authority, members of the Greater Accra Scrap Dealers Association, and Green Ad staff. They visited some of the world's most advanced electronic waste recycling companies.
Earlier on, we were also skeptical about how the operations, things were being done until they traveled to Sweden. And they went and saw things that people were doing, about how people were dealing with batteries, a whole company dealing with batteries, and they saw so many other things that were being done. And they came back and, narrating the story to some of those people at the scrapyard. But at the end of the day, it was like, oh, because of the white man, for them, they are developed. This is beyond our reach. You understand? They thought that it's a very good and a laudable, activity, but it's going to be beyond their reach.
The vision was becoming clearer, but visions must be built. And building anything at Agbogbloshie required something the project had not yet had: a physical home.
The Pure Earth supported us by, bringing in the recycling equipment. They brought in 4 pieces of equipped machines, in addition to the granular machine. And the National Youth Authority, then headed by Honorable Ras Mubarak, and then Mr. Anaman, provided us with space at the Agbogbloshie site, where we brought in shipping containers, and then we brought in Gratis Foundation to help us set this up. Okay, and we had support from everyone, and so we thought it was so wonderful. We felt very, very special that we had been able to bring in certain interventions to deal with the problem of pollution.
In October 2014, the Agbogbloshie Recycling Center was formally launched. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony was Honorable Dr. Mrs. Bernice Heloo, Deputy Minister for Environment, a woman who had stood alongside Green Arts field officers through the early, uncertain days of the campaign. She spoke that day of hope that this facility would grow, expand, and protect the health of thousands. She would not live to see the full fruit of what she had planted, but the seeds were real. During the pilot phase, the Agbogbloshie Recycling Center processed approximately 25 tons of waste cables, copper and aluminum, clean, unoxidized, commanding premium prices. Workers who had earned a fraction of what the metal was worth by burning it now earned more by not burning it. The economics of the old system were being disrupted.
There have been a positive impact because that also started changing their perception about the way they were doing business.
The principle was simple. The burning existed because it was the only practical method workers had to separate metal from plastic. Give them a machine that does it better, faster, cleaner, more profitably, and the burning becomes unnecessary.
By this time, if I dismantle finish, well, I bring the Green Arts company. If I sell, give Green Arts, I can have it plenty money, a lot of money and things. So right now I feel okay. My body too, I feel okay.
When the Green Art come to the scrap yard and say they are going to help us, and we also follow them, now the things change because I'm not feeling sick in my life again, but I'm now making profit. But the first time when I make profit, I will use all buy medicine to protect myself.
Not everyone came easily. A group known as the Kilimanjaro Burners continued to burn cables. Their reasons were complicated: independence, existing relationships, and yes, the perverse incentive of journalists who paid for the dramatic photographs that burning produced. But their numbers dwindled as one by one their colleagues crossed to the other side. The economics of burning became harder to defend. The work of the decade was not only practical, it was legislative. Throughout these years, Green Ad, the EPA, MEST, and partners including international companies like Dell and HP were contributing to the drafting of what would become Ghana's first dedicated e-waste law.
The legislation too, when we started, initially we wanted to do a law, based on the Basel Convention model law. Basel Convention already had a model law for countries to use. So we also took that model law and we tried to see whether we could, fashion our own along those lines. And that law that the Basel Convention had, the model law, was mostly dealing with transboundary movement, transboundary movement of hazardous waste. Electrical and electronic waste are considered hazardous waste because of the components in them. So we saw that if we want to go by that Basel Convention model law alone, we won't be able to tackle all the problems that we had in Ghana. And so in the end, the Minister of Communication also came in to support. They said they also had interest in the electrical and electronic waste because in Ghana, communication gadgets are, the things that are causing a lot of the e-waste. So they also came in to support. And then later on, we had what we call the capacity building for the elimination of polychlorinated biphenyls in Ghana, PCBs, which was also a project by Jeff and then UNDP. They also took interest in this law. And then that's where the law then expanded, and finally you saw that it came in two parts. The Act 917 itself came in two parts. One part dealing specifically with the transboundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposal, and then we created this second part solely for electrical and electronic waste because we had a peculiar problem in Ghana that we wanted to tackle. And that's why the law took long, and then in the end, I think that we were lucky that Parliament was very magnanimous and they gave us the fund.
For the first time, Ghana had a comprehensive legal framework for managing electronic waste. A country that had been labeled a dumping ground was now writing the rules. Between 2020 and 2022, the program purchased over 457,000 pounds of cables, over 69,000 pounds of batteries, and over 232,000 pounds of thermoplastics. Every pound of that material was a pound that did not burn. Ghana's first decade of e-waste management was a decade of firsts. The first national e-waste proposal, the first recycling facility at Agbogbloshie, the first incentive payment system, the first national e-waste legislation, the first national integrated e-waste management program launched in 2018 by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. A nation that began the decade being called a dumping ground ended it being called a pioneer.
Ghana has also gone very far, very, very far among countries in Africa. We are perhaps the leading country when it comes to electronic waste management.
But the work is not finished. Ghana today generates more electronic waste than it did in 2009. Mobile phones, laptops, televisions, solar inverters. The devices multiply. The informal sector, though partially transformed, still operates largely outside formal safety systems. The burning has reduced. It has not stopped.
The problem of pollution of the environment has not ceased completely. So for such people, there's the need to continue putting in place measures to educate them and enhance awareness creation measures more than we have done.
What we can't afford to get wrong is the enforcement. The enforcement. You see, the enforcement is weak, and we have a good law. If you have a good law and you cannot enforce it, there is no need for it. There's no need for the law. And also, you see, we have a lot of expertise in the system. Even those scrap dealers, we have so many of their members who participated in the process. And then, in addition to the levy that we are collecting, government should also, the e-waste management fund, the management of the fund, should make a budget every year and submit to Parliament. That this is a fund which has been passed by Parliament, and we need more money, from the national budget to enable us to do 1, 2, 3, and so forth.
Again, from the health standpoint, we recognize the fact that there are people who have already been contaminated, and therefore the risk of developing health conditions as a result of these elevated metals in their body still exists. So there's the need to keep on carrying out health surveillance on them, reviewing their health conditions periodically so that any changes can be picked up and appropriately managed.
The vision for the second decade is ambitious and clear. A national e-waste take-back network with drop-off points in every district. A digital traceability platform that tracks material from household to recycler in real time. Regional processing hubs in Kumasi, Takoradi, Tamale, and the Volta region. Privately operated, publicly licensed, built on the model that began at Agbogbloshie. And at the center of it all, the National E-Waste Management Fund, the engine that will finance, coordinate, and sustain Ghana's circular economy for electronics. The story of Ghana's e-waste journey is at its heart a story about what is possible when committed individuals refuse to accept the status quo. It began not with a government program or an international donor. It began with a civil society organization, a proposal, a document that said, "This problem is real, it is urgent, and here is how we can address it." It was written in 2009 without the assurance of a single cedi or dollar in funding, and it's changed a country. The next chapter belongs to all of us, to the young people who will inherit whatever we choose to build. Ghana's e-waste challenge is solvable. A decade proved it. The question now is not whether we can. The question is, how far will we go?